All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to talk about an open source project called Llama Stack. We're going to break down what it is, and maybe more importantly, what it means for anyone out there trying to build AI that's actually ready for the enterprise. Okay, so let's get right into it, because if you've been building anything with AI, I bet this whole progression feels really familiar. It's this journey from something super simple to something incredibly complex, and it happens fast. When this all started, it felt so simple, didn't it? It was like, okay, you've got your model, you make a single basic call to it, and boom, you've got some AI magic happening. But of course, a generic model on its own is, well, it's pretty limited. Pretty soon, you realize you need to connect your own data. So what do? We bring in vector databases, we start using Retrieval Augmented Generation, RAG, to give the model some real-world specific context. And then, of course, it's not enough for the app to just know things. You want it to do things. You want it to take action. So we start building out agents that can talk to external APIs, maybe update a CRM, or fire off a message. And you can feel the complexity just starting to pile up. And on top of all of that, you have to make sure the thing actually works and is secure, right? So now you're layering on performance evaluations. You're putting in guardrails to make sure you don't leak sensitive data. And usually, that means bolting on yet another tool from yet another vendor. And suddenly, that simple little app you started with, it's become this complex, tangled mess, this crazy quilt of different components, all with their own vendor-specific quirks. It becomes a total nightmare for any team trying to actually manage or scale it. Now, if this whole story, this spiral into chaos, sounds familiar, that's because it should. We have absolutely seen this exact pattern play out before in tech. This isn't a new problem, it's just happening in a new space. I mean, just think back a few years to the world of containers. It was the Wild West, total chaos. You had inconsistent environments, dependency hell, manual deployments everywhere. It looks a lot like the GenAI space right now, doesn't it? Vendor lock-in, a bunch of APIs that don't talk to each other, and huge challenges with portability. So what was the answer? Kubernetes. Now, Kubernetes didn't solve every single problem by itself, but it did something absolutely brilliant. It created a standard API for managing all those containers. It gave everybody a common language, a common ground to build on. And that, finally, brought order to all that chaos. And that brings us right to Llama Stack, because it's taking that exact same playbook, that proven idea of standardization, and applying it to the generative AI world. So what is it really? Here's the most important thing to get. Llama Stack is a single, common, central API for all your GenAI stuff. It's designed to standardize all the different layers, so your app can run the same way whether it's on your laptop or in some massive enterprise cloud. So let's peel back the layers a little bit. How does this actually work? How does having one API really make a developer's life that much better? Okay, check this out. It's all about separating the what from the how. The Llama Stack API itself doesn't run models or search a database. It's like a manager. It just provides a consistent way to ask for a task, like, hey, I need some inference, or go do a vector search. Then the providers, things like Llama or ChromaDB, are the specialists that actually do the heavy lifting. So let's walk through a typical RAG workflow with this setup. Your application? It's not hard-coded to talk to a specific database or a specific model. Nope, it just talks to the one Llama Stack API. The API then acts like a smart switchboard operator. It gets the request and says, you need a vector search, and routes it to whichever vector provider you've configured. It's beautifully simple. And this is where the real magic happens, because your application code is totally disconnected from the tools doing the work. Moving from your little local prototype to a full-blown production system becomes almost trivial. I mean, look at this. This is amazing. You can swap out these massive backend systems without touching a single line of your actual application code. Maybe you start developing locally with Llama because it's easy. Then, when it's time to go to production, you just flip one line in a config file to use a super high-performance provider like vLLM. That's it. No refactoring, no headaches. And this whole idea, this powerful concept of decoupling, it's not just for your basic models and databases. It extends all the way up to building really complex, smart AI agents. So agents need to interact with the real world, right? They need to talk to databases, CRMs, Slack, whatever. Llama Stack handles this with something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. It basically lets you register groups of tools, say for Postgres or for Slack, and just like before, your agent's logic, its brain, stays completely separate from the nitty-gritty implementation of those tools. You get that same portability and flexibility for your most complex workflows. Okay, so let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway here? What does all this actually mean for the developers and engineers who are in the trenches, building this stuff day in and day out? It means you get to stop wrestling with the plumbing. It means you get full control over your own AI platform without having to build every single piece from scratch. You can stop worrying about supporting 5 different vector stores or 10 different APIs. Instead, your team can finally focus its time and energy on what really matters: innovating and building incredible, scalable, and portable AI applications. And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? By creating a standard, by solving the underlying infrastructure mess, Llama Stack frees up so much brainpower. So the question for you is, what amazing things could you build if all that plumbing was just handled?